Yo, welcome back to the Artist Revival. It is currently Songwriting Month, and today we're going to look at a mentor who's crushed it and see how we can take influence from them, see how they approach songwriting. I'm using Perplexity, and today it's picked Jack Antonoff. So we're going to have a look at the presentation he's put up for us, and then have a chat about it. So Jack Antonoff, who you might know more about him than me. I know he's a load of people go to. Taylor Swift uses him a lot. I think a lot of people are using him at this time, or have been anyway. So Jack Antonoff, his mentorship method has created 12 Grammy wins for Taylor Swift. He asked one question that changes everything. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Today, we're going to break down the revolutionary mentorship approach to transforming pop music. So, yeah, he definitely has, even for my limited knowledge about him, he has had a big impact from what I've seen. Seen some of his mix with the Masters sessions. It seems like a cool guy, very influential, especially in modern age. So, it's going to change how we think about songwriting mentorship forever. We'll see about that. Hopefully it will. Jack Antonoff isn't just a producer, he's a mentorship revolutionary who's proved that the deepest vulnerability, Brendan Brown would be proud, creates the most universal connection. His method has generated billions of streams, dozens of Grammys, and transformed artists from good to legendary. And this is going to be a complete fact-based breakdown, which is what I asked it for, just facts. Because sometimes AI can hallucinate, so this has a lot of sources. You can see at the top, it's got that 35. So it's a fact-based breakdown of exactly how he does it and what every independent songwriter can learn from this approach. So this graph is the comparison between traditional songwriting mentorship and Jack Antonoff's revolutionary approach. So Antonoff has deep analysis on the feedback. He writes with the people. His method is collaboration. His approach is more about discovering their voice, and the focus is an emotional focus. So traditional songwriting, I'd hesitate to say that this is just a traditional songwriting approach, the opposite, which is surface level feedback, writing for people. I guess that happens a lot. Industry form. So presumably industry form is what's currently kicking off. I'm trying to replicate that. I don't actually know enough about Jack Antonoff or overall whether they cross-pollinate like that. Because I know that when something's popping off, from what I've heard, artists, labels will send people to those producers to replicate it. You do often get like Lewis Capaldi or Adele or people like Sam Smith. They do tend to go voice over piano. I was speaking to my girlfriend that's on the road trip. It's a shame, like with Sam Smith, when he came out with "Mommy, I Don't Mind," that was sick. I thought he could have done with a better mid A, and then it would have really slapped. But it was dope. And then I know he did Latch, and that was a collab with Disclosure, but it was a bit of a shame that they just put him under a piano. I've got nothing against that, but he just seems a bit cookie cutter. It's like Adele. Maybe she likes doing that. But I know Lewis Capaldi, when you listen to Lewis Capaldi speak, he don't really seem like he's happy doing the piano stuff all the time. He does make comments about it being boring, I've seen interviews where he said he loves to hear his voice in remixes and stuff. Just seems a bit of shame. Even his new albums, the same stuff. It's just a shame because we don't, as people, we don't say the same things for the whole of our lives, do we? We change. You listen to any artists that evolve, like you got Bjork that tries experimental stuff. You got Chili's. I know some of their stuff was a bit ropey, but some people might not like the newer stuff. They evolve. People evolve. So, yeah, whether Jack Antonoff is cookie cutter, I don't know enough about him. But I guess maybe the industry standard you could look at it. It's just cookie cutter, but I don't know enough about that. at the moment. So the approach, rule, structure, I presume that's just you have to do what works, rather than Jack Antonoff looks like he's helping the artist discover the voice. And the focus is on tech skills. Okay, I don't know, maybe, because if you kind of look at a lot of the bands that get put together and manufactured, it does seem they're reliant sometimes on the kind of the tech and the production. But then you do get a lot of pop bands that have really good singers and are just overlooked because they've got the pop in the name. So, but it's cool. You might know more than me, but it's cool to at least see the opposite of what the Antonoff method could be, and it certainly does look like in the industry that it's common, even if it's not traditional. It's a common approach thing. So, most songwriting mentors focus on the wrong things. They teach chord progressions, song structures, rhyme schemes, all the technical stuff you can learn from a book. Do they? I guess it's quite common. But Antonoff discovered something revolutionary: technical perfection without emotional authenticity. It's just karaoke with better production. I do like that quote, though. Victor Wooten talks very much about music as a language. And that's really inspired me, because if you look at why we say things, we only say words because they're there to describe an emotion or a feeling. They're like, the labels are necessary. As I was teaching today, right? That's a G. And I was thinking, when I teach the children, or when I teach, that's a G. And this is taking me a long time to rehabitualize. But instead of going G, I'm aiming to go, that was that's a G. So the sound comes before the label, because G isn't G. G's we've just named it. It's like your name. You're not Dave or Susan or whatever. You are, because you've labeled it. But you as a person, your energies and your body and everything that makes you up. The energy is like the big thing, really, because don't know how you look at it, but I like the analogy that this body's just a spacesuit, and it's the energies inside us that are us. This is just our physical form. Well, it's not just our physical form. This is us in this world, but it's not our. When we're stripped back from the material or the labels, it's not really who we are. Kind of like that is G when you strip it away from the label of G. That was a bit of a caveman, but I think you get what I'm going at. So the fact that there are a lot of my experiences with some producers, maybe I've just been lucky, but they have really been about experiential. I don't know about most songwriting mentors. I think some can be like that, and I definitely think music theory can go to the effect rather than the cause. So an effect is the chord progression or the song structure or the rhyme schemes, but like the cause is the emotion. Like, why is it there? It's like why do you have, if you're writing a story, why are you describing, if you're writing that horror one, why are you describing, that means that can be why you describe like a castle or like an eerie night in the way that you are, because you got the message. So it's a good juxtaposition from me, because I think a lot of us get stuck in the kind of chord progressions or song structures. I have to write this, that, and the other, and they do help. The cookie cutter things do help. I use them all the time, but I'm finding that the more that I go with what Antonoff's saying and the one Wooten's saying, and I go back to the emotion and then back to body, that's what I call it in the revival. Back to body, it's just a thesaurus, a musical thesaurus. So if you're feeling happy and you figure it out and play like, oh, that's happy, you can put in your book happy, and that was a G. That was a G on the piano. G and you put GBD, like played it softly, held the notes down. It can be quite rudimentary like that, but and you can figure out, it's a major chord. Yeah. So you can be like, if I'm feeling happy, it can be like, it can be this. You can go to your book and that's your thesaurus. It can reverse as well, the back to body book. So this is, we'll do like a plus or minus 7. But say you do it down there. Say you were playing it like that, and that made you feel adventurous, and you put that in the book. Like, well, I was S sharp minus 7. You could put the notes in the left and right hand. I was adventurous. It reminded me of the back to body book has more categories you can do. I'll put it in the link actually below, so you can use it yourself. Because I think when you get your songwriting to become from a place that your explorations have then dictated your chord progressions and chords and all these kind of things, you've got a reason for them because it's coming from your experience and your emotions. In the same way where you pick your words for a reason. We don't just learning random words is just a blag. Whereas if you actually put them into use and you know why you're using them, it's a lot more natural for you. So if we can speak music like we speak our language, we're on to a winner. So back to body book helps that. Jack Antonoff looks like he's on it. He looks like he's a legend in my books. So the industry reality: most hit songs are written by teams of 4 to 6 people. Nashville songwriting camps produce formulaic results. I haven't got experience in the Nashville songwriting camps. They do a lot of really good things, like even the Nashville number system, to numbering the scale. So really, if that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, this is a major scale. You put triads on. That's the chord scales, or harmonizing the major scale. If you look that up, all I did, I don't want to move the camera. But yeah, harmonizing the major scale, and then it's looking wearing a Batman outfit. It's pretty badass. Anyway, artists don't often recognize their own songs after the process. I'm sure we've all had that. Especially if we've gone in. I haven't really had the experience of writing for people like that, but I know people that I know have. You kind of don't feel attached to it. It's like someone that you know really well goes off and comes back, and they're different, but in a way where you're like, I don't really know who you are. So Jack Antonoff realised that when you write for someone instead of with them, you're basically creating musical costumes like the Batman outfit that never quite fit, although his did. He looked sick. The artist becomes a performer of someone else's emotions rather than expressing their own. So you kind of become an actor. And we do act a lot in performing. Especially, I find that vocally you act more because you're putting different characters to get different tones. Like the instrument, if you're playing guitar, your tone that you change, it becomes a different character. You can play it, obviously, in a different way, but if you've got clean tone, you're in a distorted tone, you're never going to get distortion out of it. Clean tone. So the effects boards can help change the character, but even if we're tuning into something that feels right for us, or I think Adele was talking about, because she can't just do the same performances all over. Or with the emotion, I think she kind of goes into default mode. So I know there's ways that we can fit around having to perform a lot, but at least it's coming from our experiences rather than just detached. The Antonoff difference: collaboration, not dictation; emotional excavation, not surface policy. These are all things that we can, even if we're not collaborating with somebody, these are all things that we can ensure that we're doing in our own songwriting. So if we collaborate with ourselves rather than and see what we really feel, to see what we really want to say, see what if the songs and the music is actually sounding like we want it to sound, because a lot of the time through the insecurities of comparison, or it needs to be perfect, things like that, we can proper block ourselves from what we want to be really writing. And then we do create songs that we feel detached from, because it's not the sound that I was going for. It hasn't come from a place that felt honest, because it's often unformed. We just have the feeling and we carry that around, and then that feeling helps shape the song that then you can hear. Oh, that's the sound of what I was feeling. So we can have our own Jack Antonoff in us, because we've all got different archetypes in us. So making sure that we do that emotional excavation and not surface pose. There's obviously the things with songwriting, you might not want to divulge everything, because it's not for everyone to know, right? Everyone's got their own differing scales of how much they're happy to share, but whatever level of honesty you want to go for, making sure that you've excavated it. And even if you journals, I just wrote it down if journal turns you off, because journaling can turn me off with a word. But that's just probably my own. I think dudes can kind of be like that. But yeah, you could excavate all the really deep stuff, and then on paper, or even if you put your audio down with some vocal or whatever, and then boom, you can just chip away the bits that you don't want to show to the public, and it's out. So he writes with artists discovering their voice. So you can write with yourself and help discover your voice, which is you're only going to do it by exploring and not dictating what you should be doing, having this sergeant major in your head just because you want to feel like you're going to fit in. So Jack Antonoff's songwriting method. I love these colours it does. Right. What's the worst thing that's ever happened? Opens emotional gateway. That goes into exploring the deepest truths and vulnerability, which finds authentic material. He then discovers the artist's unique sonic identity, which is authentic sound discovery. He writes with them and not for them, which maintains artistic integrity. And then that transforms into raw emotion into accessible pop. Which is commercial accessibility. And then he goes out the brown door. So it's interesting going from the worst thing that's ever happened. I guess you could play with that, because that's like an emotional extreme. So you could interchange worst. So anything, didn't you? Like exciting, adventurous, best, happiest. You turn the volume up on your emotions, and then that really gives you a pathway to explore. Because a lot of time we can forget all this sort of stuff if we're so focused on trying to pay rent, or the fact that we're gonna all die, or AI, or whatever it is. The world's going crazy when you're students. It can be really hard to just tap into our emotions properly. So I guess that's why when people do journal, that's really good, because you are excavating that. This is another way of, I guess, tapping into it. And if you're wanting to write a song that is happy, this is really good. Questions, like Tony Robbins talks about it all the time, doesn't he? Like, questions are the gateway to opening things up. If you ask quality questions of it, you can get quality results. If you ask low quality questions, you'll get crappy results. So it's like input output. Brain's like an amazing computer, isn't it? So all right. So this would be a great way. You can really, this is like another way of doing it. So I do like that. Boom. Jack Antonoff's 5-stage mentorship process, documented from interviews with Taylor Swift, Lorde, and Lana Del Rey. It's completely different from traditional approaches. So just having a little bit more of a look at those. So stage 1, he is the question. So he starts every collaboration the same way. What's the worst thing that's ever happened to you? not what kind of song do you want to write or what's trending. He goes straight to the emotional core because he knows that's where universal connection lives. That's sick, man. Even like I was thinking, if you want to write this sort of song, he's saying that's not his approach at all. So it goes straight to the universal connection of that's the worst thing. Interesting why it's just the worst thing. So we'll have a look. Because I do think you could play around with the different emotions and things like I was saying earlier. Stage 2, emotional excavation. This isn't therapy, it's archaeology. Lots of dinosaurs in their aroma pots. Antonoff helps artists dig into their deepest truths, not to exploit them, but to find the raw material that connects with millions of people who felt the same pain. We can often feel, can't we, that it's our own. Sometimes we're the only ones that are going through this or have only ever gone through this, but we all go through similar things as a core human experience, I think. It's a cool approach. Musical DNA discovery. Every artist has a unique musical DNA. The sounds and melodies that feel most authentically them. So Antonoff doesn't impose his style, he helps artists discover and amplify their own. It's kind of, like say with the archetypes in yourself, it really helps us to become more comfortable with exploring ourselves. And if we did have a mentor like Antonoff, what he will be saying, because sometimes we can encourage ourselves to do these sorts of things, but then the inner critic, like the monkey mind, comes in. I can't do that, and then the pain, it just thinks of pain. So whereas if you've got a mentor that's encouraging you through these, you kind of come out of the trance and start acting at a more like amazing level, for lack of a better way of saying it. Stage 4, collaborative creation. So here's the magic. Both artist and mentor contribute simultaneously. Antonoff might play a chord progression while the artist improvises melody and lyrics. It's not a teacher-student dynamic. It's two creators building something together. We can do that in the studio, can't we? If we just play progression down, it's easy to sing over it. The honest translation. The final stage is translating raw emotion into accessible pop music. So you don't have to be pop music. It could be whatever music. Well, it doesn't even have to be accessible. If you don't want it to be accessible, obviously you write what you want. That is just interchangeable. So Antonoff's genius is making deeply personal experiences universally relatable without losing their authenticity. Then the success metrics. So I'm going to read this first because I don't understand the graph. Let's look at the results. These aren't just field-funded success stories. They're measurable industry-changing achievements. Taylor Swift transformation to 12 Grammys during Antonoff collaboration period. I know some people giving them a lot of stick for, was it the record before last? I know the Showgirl thing is pant from what I've seen. I haven't listened to it, but to get 12 Grammys. Folklore and Evermore marked her artistic peak, according to Billboard. 200 plus million albums sold with Antonoff co-written songs, and there was the Swiftonomics, wasn't it? She was lifting up economies and stuff. I'm presuming that Antonoff was part of that. So, Lord's breakthrough, age 16 when they started working together. Melodrama achieved critical and commercial success. Was that with Royals? I think it was. 16, that's mental. I'm pretty sure that as well, isn't it? Grammy wins for songs co-written with Antonoff. I didn't know he was part of it. Notice a pattern. These aren't just commercial hits. Every artist Antonoff mentors experiences an artistic evolution. They don't just get better songs, they become better artists. So, financial reality, we will have a look at the table in it. Antonoff mentored songs generating billions with streaming revenue. That's Evil would love that. Get off. Stop humping my leader. Artists see career-defining album success, and there are long-term artistic sustainability, not just hit singles. So this is the people he's worked with. Success score. So Bleachers, he's in Bleachers, isn't he? St. Vincent, Lana Del Rey, Lord, Taylor Swift off the chart, but I'm presuming this will be the money streams side of things. They're all recognisable names and all critically acclaimed from what I can see. So, what makes Antonoff's mentorship revolutionary isn't just the music, it's the psychology. He understands something most mentors miss, or let's say a lot of mentors miss. Songwriting is fundamentally about connection, and connection requires vulnerability. I guess the more we listen to people that are experts in that, like Brené Brown, John Delaney's great. John Deloney, great for this. But people who understand vulnerability, we can tap that within ourselves, and then we can then put it into our music. So there's often like for musicians, if we study music marketing, from what I've seen, it's best just to go to the marketers and then apply it to music. Because I've experienced that with the business side of things. They crush it, and then things like minimal viable startups, you can take the minimal viable premise and put it to your artistry. So it's kind of like going to the source and then being able to adapt it. So the loneliness principle, Antonoff calls songwriting the loneliest activity in the world. You write because you feel alone, then share it to discover you're not alone. This understanding shapes his entire mentorship approach. Is that true? Do you feel like it's the loneliest activity? Do you write because you feel alone? I don't know if I do. Maybe he's gone complete Yoda on him, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we're not going to turn this into a therapy session, don't we? That's something to have a look at. What do you think? The Kate Bush influence. Antonoff is obsessed with Kate Bush because she proved that even the strangest voice or story or sound can be understood by the people. She was amazing. This influence is how he mentors. He helps artists trust that their weirdness is their strength. Weirdness is your strength, man. I like that. Octave theory. Antonoff writes a full octave above where he sings because he's always thinking about the artist's voice, not his own. This is mentorship in its purest form, elevating the student's voice rather than imposing your own. Don't really get that. I don't know why writing an octave higher is going to help you be more pure. It's about like what you're singing about. Why don't you just be able to write something pure with them and then just sing it an octave above? I don't get that all. Maybe there's something I'm missing. The Antonoff collaborative process. So the artist enters a studio and a safe creative space is established. The question's asked, what's the worst thing that has happened to you? Hopefully not walking into the studio. Emotional response triggers musical idea. Shit, should have gone to Abbey Road. Triggers immediate musical ideas. Both contribute simultaneously. Antonoff throws stapler across the room. The raw demos captured of the glass exploding. Which records the magic moment immediately. The refinement maintains emotional core. Polish while maintaining authentic core. And then the authentic hit song is completed and a song that connects deeply with an audience. So if you ever have to dodge a stapler hurtling across your ear, that song that Jack Antonoff made just then would be a jam. So this is how a typical Antonoff mentorship session actually works. Documented from studio footage and artist interviews. So the safe space setup, we'll just have another look at these. The Brooklyn studio isn't intimidating. It's comfortable, lived in, creative. The environment matters because vulnerability requires safety. Yes, this is similar to Benny Blanco, but Benny Blanco, when he works with artists, he doesn't actually start making music straight away. I saw an interview with him. I wish I could remember. I think it was a guy with glasses was interviewing him. He's really great. And he was just, Benny Blanco was just saying he just chills with him. If they'll just play pool or eat or have a laugh, and then if they're there for 3 days, if on the second day they'll actually make some music, like vibey, they'll make it. If not, they don't. There's no force in it. So the personality side of things, or personability side of things, is huge. And I guess this links back to the dictatorship thing. We can have this little Sergeant Johnson saying, We need to do this, need to do that in our heads. Where really we can treat ourselves like this. We can just go out. It's just like have an ice cream, or just go to the cinema, or just go chill with ourselves, or even spend time with other people. And we're like, oh, you know what? I can make some music today. I know there is also the flip side of wanting to be able to make music and just sit down, but it does become a point where forcing it is just mean to yourself. I mean, if we're going to write about, we got to have some juice in the tank to then let out into the song. So we've got to live and have experiences, have something to say, so we can say it, let it out. This is quite a cool, like the archetype thing I was chatting about before. It's just quite a cool way to keep looking at it for myself as well, 100%. So the magic moment is what makes Antonoff special. He captures the magic moment. When that emotional truth connects with the musical idea, he records it and immediately just capture it. We've all had that in it. Sometimes the demo hits more than the other song, the actual tape, sorry. Because there was something about that demo, it was the energy we were talking about before. The form it took, the energy, was like, that was it. Whereas if that learning actors, you can learn a script, but if you don't believe the actor, they could have two actors. One who just says the words that you don't believe, and another one that Joaquin Phoenix, or Joaquin, or whatever you call it, either do. But then you're like, that was amazing. So it's the same thing with our songs. No, let's work on this later. The raw demo often becomes the final track. Boom. There you go. It's important to be able to have something that we can capture quickly. Even if it's like Steve Lacy wakes your iPhone and Irie. Get it down and your iPhone mic. The Swift doesn't have to be a lot of tech to get moving. The Taylor Swift example, the viral moment of Jack Antonoff and Swift writing Getaway Car Bridge happened because they were both contributing simultaneously. Swift the lyrics, Antonoff the melody, kind of like Elton John and I can't remember who did the lyrics for him. The song wrote itself through their collaboration. The refinement philosophy, Antonoff's refinement process maintains the emotional cure. I keep saying cure, because I've been playing it with a rock band that I'm teaching. While they do make the slamming hits, make it the emotional core whilst making it accessible. He asked, does this still feel true to what we discovered? Not, does this sound like a hit? That's a really good question to ask yourself. Unless you want to write a hit. Well, sometimes, I don't know if sometimes that could be counterproductive. What do you think? If I want to write a hit. I don't know, because like Bruno Mars, I think, does that a lot. But I guess it's what kind of music do you want to make? And if it's the kind of music that I like to make as well, it's like it's an expression than you. Does it still feel true? Is a way better quality question. Tony Robbins would absolutely be loving it. Actionable lessons for us as independent artists. You don't need Antonoff in the room to ask yourself his fundamental question. What's the worst, best, most exciting thing that's ever happened to you? What's the most honest thing you've never said? Boom! That's an awesome question. What's the most honest thing you've never said? Ooh-wee. Start there. Collaboration. Do that today. Start some of that today. Collaboration over competition. And if you do, link it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. If you are co-writing, approach it like Antonoff. Contribute simultaneously rather than taking turns. Build together instead of critiquing separately. Capture the magic. When you feel that moment of authentic connection between emotion and melody, record it immediately. Voice memo, phone demo, whatever it takes. Don't lose the magic trying to make it perfect. Perfect will just destroy everything. You just never get out of the house if you want to look perfect. It's just not no happy. Emotional archaeology. Dig deeper than surface feelings. Go Jurassic Park on it, man. Papa's dog gets sprayed in the face by angry dinosaurs. Don't write about being sad. Write about the specific moment your world changed. Specificity creates universality. I'm not going to put that sentence in one of my songs. So, fellow independent artists, we know that weirdness is our strength, vulnerability is our superpower. And your most personal experience is your most universal songs. If these things couldn't go on a hashtag Instagram, Canva, post. I don't know what would. But they're true, though. So, what's the most honest thing you've never written about? Do you write about your real experiences or what you think will sell? Have you ever had the magic moment when emotion to melody clicked instantly? What stopped you from being more vulnerable in your songwriting? Those are the questions he's given me. They're pretty cool. But yeah, how honest do you go? Have you got things that you haven't released because it's so vulnerable? And is there a way you could put it into being released in a filtered way so you could get it out? Or are you not being, are you kind of covering your vulnerability and masking it by production or filtering yourself too much? Where you at, man? What you struggling with? What have you found has helped? I do like, what's the most honest thing you've never written about in a song? That's super cool. I'd love to hear that. So I am studying Antonoff's method because I believe every independent artist deserves a mentor. I do. Who sees that authentic voice as a great asset. No, we don't have to have access to Jack Antonoff, but we can have access to his fundamental principle. The truth told beautifully always connects. I think that's a lovely way to end the lit. So I'd love to hear where you're at. I'm on the same boat. I'm resurrecting my artist career, writing songs that feel like me, developing my skill set so I can articulate myself properly, and also learning to build the airplane in the air. So we're all in the same boat. Life and music are team sports, man. So I'd love to know where you're at, what's helped you, what you're struggling with. Just see where you're at, see how we can be a community, because there's so much technifying that's happening, which is, a lot of it is amazing, a lot of it is terrifying. I think it's gonna make people want community more. I think even the younger generations, there's businesses where you can just go for a walk with someone and they just want to get outside and walk. So community looks like it's back on the menu, boys. So yeah, love to hear what you think. If you made it this far, appreciate your time. Have an amazing day. Take Jack Antonoff with you, and yeah, have a dope one. Peace.